condoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'ma say it. I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NotBland Show. I am your host, Dujane Bland. Thank you for being patient, doing a lot of work behind the scenes here. It's been a scramble, but we are here. We are live and ready to go. I am super, super excited to be able to talk some wrestling this afternoon with one of the best in the business that knows his stuff. That's right. We're going to have the champ from the No Spots podcast. And it's going to be fun, man. It's a lot of great stuff going on in wrestling today. And we're going to talk about it. Some pay-per-views are coming up, too. So it's going to be fun. Going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to talk about that wacky weekend we just had at Brainerd. That was fantastic. It's got to be the best one of the year. And you can't even write a story like that, can you? Nope, not at all. We're going to talk about that, too. And before we get into it, you know, this is also brought to you by sportsjourney.com and Everything Nitro. And it is powered by our people over at Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. If you were not involved this weekend, then I guess you just missed out. It was a good one. It was a stressful one, but we all got through it. And I think I'm moving up the ladder in our league here. So it's been a good weekend. A really good weekend for some, not so good for others. But after this break from our sponsor, we will be bringing in the one we know as champ.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
If you guys haven't gotten involved in it yet, you need to. Like I said, you don't need to know anything about drag racing. You just need to know how to pick. That's it. That's all there is to it. And without further ado, you know I got to do this. It is our guy. He is the man that we call the champ. It's my guy. Champ! The champ is here. What's going on, baby?
Well, first and foremost, man, saying I'm the best in the business when only 2 people listen to me a week is kind of wild, but I appreciate it.
Oh, you never know who's lurking in the shadows to be listening. I've learned that myself. They may not bring themselves up and like or share or anything like that, but they're back in the shadows listening.
We'll see about that. I mean, it is what it is, though. What's going on, DJ?
Nothing much, man. It's been a great several weeks. I mean, really, since SummerSlam. I mean, coming into SummerSlam, wrestling has been hot. WWE has been hot, and man, some really big time changes with what's going on here. And my guy Lonnie gives his word to the champ here. Thank you, Lonnie, for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Good.
And we'll get to Brainerd at the end of this thing. And I know you're coming in hot, baby. Double O's, triple O's, right? I look at what's going on, and I look at the changes, and I will gladly start with one that if Vince is here, this does not happen, and this is Queen Nia. I thought I was kind of surprised at the win over Bayley at SummerSlam, but at the end of the day, I think this is a cool deal, And she really has improved, not just on between the ropes there, but she also has improved on the mic as well.
Yeah, she is marginally better on the microphone, but her in-ring skills where she had a lot of critics, a lot of criticisms about her being unsafe and things like that. And she has definitely improved on that immensely. And it's been a great thing to see. And that's why she's been given the mantle of being able to be the face of the women's division on SmackDown, and I think it's well deserved. I think she's going to really carry that mantle well. She was able to carry that mantle as a women's champion before a few years ago, but she still was kind of green around the gills when it came to the in-ring stuff. So now she's a little bit more experienced. She's a little bit more polished, and I think now she's going to, and she's a monster heel too. I think she's going to be very, very good in this role.
I agree. And under Vince, this doesn't happen. I really I don't see that under Vince. I love the fact that her in-ring has improved tremendously. And I tell you what, man, this story between her and old Tiffy time here, how long before Tiffy turns on Nia?
Well, it's funny you asked that question because there was actually during the Fanatics Fest that took place in New York this past weekend, there was actually Tiffany Stratton was actually asked the question of who she would want to feud with, and she actually mentioned Rhea Ripley. And so there was a theory put out there that what if Rhea wins the Women's World Championship, and then Tiffy cashes in on her to take the title, and then they start the feud. So she said that's one of the feuds she would like to have because it would be definitely a clash of styles, a much more lighter, athletic Tiffany Stratton against the hard-hitting powerhouse that is Rhea Ripley. I think that might be the direction they go. But at the same time, they could stay here and have her turn on Nia, say, at the Royal Rumble or at next year's WrestleMania. This could be a long-term thing between Nia and Tiffany that could lead to an ultimate betrayal once they decide they want to pull the trigger on a Nia Jax face turn or a Tiffany Stratton face turn. Though I think the Tiffany Stratton face turn will be much more likely than a Nia Jax face turn because even though Tiffany Stratton acts like a complete bitch, people still cheer her.
Yep, they do.
So that's going to be a more likely face turn than Nia turning face.
This is a good question. Memphis Lonnie says, why was Nia never put into the bloodline? Isn't she Rock's cousin? So I'm assuming Samoan herself, they never had a girl in the bloodline.
Tamina would have been the better choice for the bloodline than Nia Jax, honestly. So that's why she was never put in, because Tamina would have been a better option. But clearly, the way the story was formulated and pushed out, that no women were going to be involved in this, because what woman on the roster would want to feud with someone who's part of the bloodline, which is one of the hottest factions in WWE in recent memory. So I think that Nia would not have been the best choice. It would have been Tamina over Nia, honestly.
Yeah, I would have thought that would have been the case too. It would have been nice either or, but yeah, Tamina's the one that should be in that one if they were going to do something like that. Hold on for a second, guys. Okay. Yeah, we have some issues here that we're dealing with here in the neighborhood. So that was my neighbor trying to ring me. But I tell you what, man, I'm looking forward to actually utilizing a Money in the Bank briefcase instead of wasting it like they did on that tit for tat with, Drew and CM Punk. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that and how that all plays out. I have a huge gripe here, and it's with our girl here, Naomi. I feel like she was a champion in TNA, and we have seen her really elevate over there. She comes back, and to me, she's been in the business of putting people over and not actually being in any type of a feud that's worthy. Is this due to the fact that they just don't have enough TV time for the ladies?
That's one aspect of it, is that, and I have to agree that I think that, you know, Naomi has been poorly booked since she returned. It's like normally when you leave the WWE machine and you go somewhere else and find a lot of big success, that normally you would come back here, and usually under Vince it would be like a spiteful poor booking. But in this case, Triple H is not the type to be spitefully booking someone poorly just because they went and became a champion in another promotion. But I just think that's the point. The thing is that I don't think there's enough time for the women to be able to have meaningful storylines. I mean, they're doing a good job with Rhea and Liv over on Raw, but on SmackDown, there's really not a women's storyline that's meaningful, except, well, now they're doing Naomi teaming with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill against the Unholy Union and the former B Priestley, now known as Blair Davenport.
Yeah.
But I just think that, I think that if there was more time for the women on the SmackDown side of things, I think that Naomi could have much better booking. But right now we're just getting what we're getting, which is pretty sad to say, the very least, because of how much fanfare she had and when she returned.
Now, here's my next question to kind of piggyback off of that. Do you feel that the women deserve their own standalone show?
The problem with that, I say yes, but here's the problem. What are the ratings going to look like? Because regardless of how different the wrestling scene has become, there are still wrestling fans out there that treat women's matches like bathroom breaks. Even though they go out there and put on bangers, they still treat these matches like bathroom breaks. And so if you put on an entire show with just women's matches, it's no guarantee you're going to see high ratings.
Yeah.
And it's great. And it's crazy because we have all women's leagues around the world. You have leagues like Stardom, you have Tokyo Joshi Pro, all in Japan. And then of course you have the Women of Wrestling show and everything like that. But it's not moving the needle. And that's the problem. That's the big problem, is that women's wrestling, unfortunately, as good as they are, it doesn't move the needle. And that's why they're not getting the time that they are getting. And this is the same problem in AEW. Tony Khan puts on one women's match a show a week. So that's up to 3 women's matches. Now, granted, he started to put 2 on there, or 2 on like Collision and on like Rampage. 2 shows that barely anybody's watching. Whereas their main show, Dynamite, is 1. And it's like, come on, guys. And then Tony Khan had the nerve and audacity to say in an interview with a straight freaking face that he has the best women's division in all of professional wrestling.
Yet so you're not showcasing.
But yet he doesn't showcase it like he's supposed to.
Right.
He don't showcase it, but yet he has the best women's division in all the professional wrestling, apparently. And it's like, no, sir, you don't. Because if you did, you'd showcase it more.
I agree.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think the lack or the women not moving the needle, is that just due to the fact that sometimes they're a little careful and it shows, or we're just not there yet as a whole, as a fan base?
I think it's the latter. I think we're not there yet as a fan base, honestly, because these women have gotten so much better over. Listen, there are a lot of people, wrestling fans out there, who weren't even old enough or even alive yet during the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression era, and in the era where all they did was bra and panty matches and Playboy Bunny matches, and they got like 2 minutes and stuff like that.
Right.
Though that was a time where women's wrestling was absolutely not the best of times. And then finally, as we got to the mid 2010s, they finally realized, hey, these girls can actually wrestle. Freaking Michelle McCool told a story that her and Victoria went out there and they had such a good match that Vince McMahon made them go back out and do it again because it was better than some of the men's matches. That's how bad women's wrestling was back then, that Vince made them go back out and redo a match because their first attempt was too good and thought it was going to outshine the men. Now we're in an age now where the women can go out there and outshine the men, and it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. And you make a good point there. Sith. It really is. It is the bloodline story is huge, and it really is dominated on SmackDown. And you do have a little bit more room for air and for breath to do more things on Raw. Yeah, Memphis Lonnie says he finds the Japanese girls find that interesting. He said are suddenly baby faces against Sonya and Shayna.
I would like to respond to that because let me put my controller down. I'm sitting here playing Madden 25. I gotta put my controller down. I gotta explain this one. Hang on. So me and Sith for the last 2 weeks on our podcast, and No Spots podcast is on Amazon. It's on Amazon Music and Spotify if you want to listen. We've bemoaned the fact that these girls, Io Sky, Kairi Sane, are suddenly baby faces in this rivalry, this three-way rivalry when it comes to the Pure Fusion Collective. That's Shayna and Sonya and Zoe, as well as the Unholy Union. And then I had an epiphany about it today. The reason why they're baby faces is because they are organically being cheered by the fans. And one of the things you have to do as a wrestler is if you're organically being cheered by the fans, you got to realize you can't make them hate you anymore. You have to embrace that.
Yep.
So that's what's happened here. They do this a lot on the indies. There are a lot of wrestlers who, in one indie promotion, they get booed and they embrace it and they act like an asshole. Whereas in another promotion, they get cheered and they embrace it like getting the crowd to get hyped up and all this other stuff. It's all about adjusting to the fan reaction. And that is what we are getting here. Yes, Damage Control acted like complete asswipes for most of their creation. Even after expelling Bayley, they were getting booed mercilessly. But now they're getting cheered because they're going up against three ladies that the fans can't stand. So what else are you going to do except embrace it and be like, you know what? They're faces now. And there you go. It didn't make sense to me at first, but then, like I said, today it literally popped in my head like, wait, the crowd's actually cheering for them before they actually started embracing being baby faces. That's what this is.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's smart. I think you have to really pay attention to what's going on, and you have to give the crowd what they want. And it works. It's all about pop and ratings, right? And I think that is a very smart deal. It's kind of weird to see them doing that, but you know what? You got to play into that, and you got to definitely fuel it if you're going to be doing that. Now, this right here, man, this here, this almost broke the internet, my guy. I'm gonna tell you, the turn. I was very upset about Damian Priest losing the title. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Too early, in my opinion, but hey. It is what it is. But this story right here, I didn't see it coming. I did not see this coming. And I believe this is the next great thing that they have outside of the bloodline here with this whole new faction of Judgment Day. And giving Finn leadership ability. I mean, when has that happened?
Well, actually, technically, Finn Balor has gone on the record and said there are no leaders, no egos. So he's not.
That's what he said.
He's technically not the leader, but a lot of fans will see with his actions and things like that he is kind of the de facto leader. It's just not said on screen.
Right. It's also weird seeing Mommy in the position of face.
Let me tell you something. I think that, again, it goes to crowd reaction, and then also you got to think about the fact that she was down for a few months with that shoulder injury after WrestleMania. So it's the old absence makes the heart grow fonder type of thing, and everybody's missed her and was like, you know what, we want Mommy. And then they did the whole thing where Liv was trying to infiltrate the Judgment Day, which she has successfully done. And now she's a part of the Judgment Day and has expelled Ripley, which enhances her babyface aura a little bit more. So I think that they played this very much right. I will say on a personal note, though, that Liv Morgan, every time I see her, she makes me feel things I shouldn't feel about another woman, being that I'm with a woman for the last 11 years. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Yeah, fantastic stuff there. The biggest thing here I want to talk about, yes, is this Roman thing. You know, ever since the heel turn, I had issues with the guy, and it really wasn't about him. It was just about how the company just didn't go the direction of heel a lot sooner, and let that be the thing to get him over. And man, to see him come back in the way that he's come back, and just the crowd just explodes when the OTC comes out, it is beautiful to see. This story just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, see, here's the thing is that, again, it's another situation where the crowd is into Roman Reigns, and Triple H managed to do something that Vince could never do.
Yep.
And that's get people to cheer for Roman freaking Reigns as a babyface. Vince tried it for years. He shoved Roman Reigns as a babyface down our throat for years, and everybody could not embrace it. Look at how he got booed in Philly for when he won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
With the Rock in his presence.
Yep.
And he got booed out the freaking building. But now he goes away for 4 months after losing at WrestleMania, after he was already getting some cheers during his heel run anyway. And now look at him. He's almost the top babyface on SmackDown. Cody Rhodes is still the top babyface, but Roman Reigns is a very close second.
Yeah. It is amazing what's going on there, and this story just keeps getting better. Then that puts me over to Cody Rhodes. I get the feeling that some people, I hope that it's not the Cody fans, but I get to some people that say that he's kind of a boring champion, and it's not him. It's just the way that they're trying to maneuver this story. And I think he's had some great matches. He's put on some great matches. And I just want to say, like, I had my issues with Cody going back to WWE and the whole thing. But that's always been my guy, and I'm over it now. The one thing I've always liked about Cody is his ability to naturally be embraced and embracing the fan base. It's not for show. It's not something that he does that's in character thing. That really comes from the heart from him, and the things that I see from him as a champion, I believe are great. And that he has been carrying this title quite magnificently, being that you had to follow what was Roman Reigns' historical title run. That's a hard shoe to have to pass, the torch being passed, so to speak, and it's hard to carry that torch when he's done so many great things. How do you feel about that?
It just irritates me that everybody sits there and says, "Oh, Cody's a boring champion." What, y'all expect Cody to go out there and say and do some wild stuff and that makes his championship reign more exciting? No. Cody Rhodes' character is showing the genuineness of the history of not only where he comes from, his lineage, but his growth in the professional wrestling space. So you can't sit there and be like, "Oh, this is a boring title run" and stuff like that. No, yeah. It's not boring. It's actually really good because, yes, you are following in the footsteps of a man who held the championship for nearly 3 years.
Right.
No, over 3 years. I'm sorry. Yeah. Over 3 years. Over 3 years, he held that damn championship and did some really wonderful things. But at the same token, you have to understand that he's got to carve his own path, and he has to do his own thing with that championship. He has to do things differently. So you're not going to expect him to go out there and do wild, crazy things just so you can say, "Oh, it's not a boring title reign." Right. He's going to go out there and do his thing, period, point blank.
And this is a great question. This is my thought coming into what we appear to be another faction behind Roman Reigns. Do you see the Usos coming back together? Our guy Robbie Gross over there, with his podcast over there. Why am I drawing a blank, dude?
Sports on the Hill.
Sports on the Hill. My goodness, I'm sorry, Robbie. It's been a long day, but he comes. He'll be back. They'll be back really soon. He says
September
Usos
9th.
Coming back together. What do you think about that? I got that feeling that that's a possibility as well.
I don't really see it as a possibility, only because of the fact of how good Jey Uso is as a singles performer.
Man.
He's been doing so well as a singles performer. I don't think you want to derail that anytime soon, but at the same time, I understand that it would make sense. He originally left the original bloodline, then Jimmy was kicked out of the bloodline, and now, you know, it would make all the sense in the world for them to help Roman get back, you know, get back the power and everything like that, because, you know, they're close cousins and everything like that. So it makes all the sense in the world. I just don't see it happening. But if it does happen, I wouldn't be mad about it, because it would make all the sense in the world.
Rumor mill, Memphis Lions says rumor mill has it Brock Lesnar coming back in and joining Roman's faction. Your thoughts?
Nah.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do that. I don't even know if he comes back at all.
It makes zero sense. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna be even more crazy and say that makes negative 0 sense. Makes negative sense.
I don't know if I would do that.
Brock was one of Roman's greatest rivals, and he has nothing to do with Solo, with God, or with Jacob Fatu. So it makes zero sense for Brock Lesnar to get involved in this at all. He has no reason to get involved in this at all. So if they did that, that makes 0 sense at all. That makes 0 sense.
Yeah. Sith says he does. Jimmy is probably going to rejoin Jay. Sammy joins the original bloodline. I would like that. I'm not against that either. That's pretty funny. I would find that quite awesome, to be honest with you, especially with Jay's run right now as a single and what he's put on. Robbie says that would be huge if Brock came back and joined them. It would be. It would be huge,
but it would just make no sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even Sid says no.
Yeah, Brock's staying home. Brock's definitely staying home.
Yeah, he's staying home. To go over to AEW, and I wanted to get this question in, or this here in. Memphis Lonnie says he is glad that MJF stayed with AEW. He said, I feared he'd get lost in the shuffle of talent in WWE.
No, he wouldn't.
I don't think he would have.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't.
this company needed him, though. There's no doubt about it. And I never doubted. I think the company did what they did for a reason. And the deal was already done, but it's great to have speculation, right? It's great to be able to have this long time story, or whether is he or isn't he. And there was times that people thought that MJF was going to show up in WWE in a few instances. So I thought it was great, but I will 100% agree. MJF needed to be, I'll say AEW needed MJF by a long shot. But no, I don't think he would get buried. That dude is too good on the mic. And if they let him continue to be him in WWE, he ascends very quickly.
Yeah, he would not have gotten lost. Here's the thing. First and foremost, he's still in his mid-20s, right? So he's young. Right. He's young. He's a young guy. So that's one of the things that WWE is looking for in terms of their people being showcased on their shows, is the younger guys. He's in his mid-20s. He is one of the best, if not the best, on the microphone, hands down, no questions asked. Whether he's a babyface or he's a heel, his mic work is absolutely impeccable, and his in-ring work is absolutely spectacular.
It is.
So he would not have gotten lost in the shuffle. He would have been a featured player in WWE had he went there. But I think it's a better move for him to be in AEW, because then he doesn't have as much restrictions on what he has to say and how he wrestles as he would in the WWE machine at this age. I think that if he goes to WWE, it needs to be when he's in his 30s. That way he's already gotten all his inderific stuff out the way, and he's ready to be in a more structured system. And then by then his star power will be so high that WWE will have no choice but to feature him. At this point in time, they have the option to feature him if they signed him. Once he gets to his 30s and he continues on his pathway, they have no choice but to feature him, and they have no choice but to push him to the freaking moon.
With AEW, I do like the direction that we're seeing a lot of these shows. I do feel, though, that Rampage is not needed. It feels like an afterthought at times. They have been trying to put together and throw some actual stories, with Thunder Rosa and that feud and a few other feuds onto that. But I really do believe that we could just simply have Collision and Dynamite and be good, because I think we all know that Rampage is being taped after Dynamite a lot of times, and sometimes that shows, man. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that they would have a 1 hour show, they would have a 1 hour show to add into their 2 hour flagship show, and then they decided to add a third show, was a bit of an interesting strategy by AEW, especially given the fact that, of course, WWE, they have both Raw and SmackDown. Then they have Main Event on that's streaming on Hulu, and then they have NXT and things like that. But I think that it was an interesting strategy, and I guess they felt that would be a more cost-effective measure, just doing shows like that instead of doing AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, which was on YouTube. They figured they'd get more viewership to the show on cable TV as opposed to on YouTube. But as it's showing in the ratings aren't really popping like they're supposed to for either show. So, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out when it comes to AEW's negotiation of their media rights with Warner Brothers Discovery, which there's been so many rumors about them having either like a initial, hey, this is what we're going to do, but it's not official yet, to, oh, we're still negotiating and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out and how Rampage and even Collision plays into that moving forward.
Yeah, I'm real interested in that. I really do think the deal that WWE has with Peacock is very good. I think others should kind of follow that. I know, as a person who has AT&T, a lot of AT&T users, whether it's internet or phone, have the ability to have Max for free. So it wouldn't be a disaster if that were to happen. I think it's great because they could have their pay-per-views there as well, just like WWE does. But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm super excited about SmackDown going back to USA, and I know that Raw will be going to Netflix here soon. So I'm interested to see how all of these things start to play out. But I do think we see a different type of SmackDown when we get to the USA time. As far as AEW, I thought, Sith said, made a good comment. They have been more structured. They are seeming to try to have more stories. And my next question with you is, we have some older heads that are there, Bryan Danielson, to name, just to be one of the front names up front. Is it time? And I believe that he loses this match because he is ready to retire. It's time for some of the old heads to kind of move on out of the way. There's a lot of young talent that deserves to be displayed and be front and center. What are your thoughts on that shift in this being trying to shift away from some of the older wrestlers and giving these younger guys some more time?
One of the things that I look at with this is that AEW needs those veteran wrestlers, because a lot of these young cats that are in AEW, this is their first taste of being on a national stage when it comes to professional wrestling. A lot of these guys came up from the indies where it wasn't a whole, like, this is what you got to do. They don't have producers and helping them produce matches. They had to come up with their matches either on the fly, or they got to go over with their opponent prior to the match. They don't have producers helping them to create matches to be able to make them so that they can go over with the fans and create that reaction that they need from the fans. And they just go out there and they just do their own thing. So having that veteran presence in that locker room is actually much more beneficial than people would understand, because a lot of these veterans have been on this stage for years. So they know what it takes to construct the match that will make sure that it gets a proper reaction from the crowd and things of that nature. Now, do I feel like they need to get out the way and let some of these young folks get some more TV time? Absolutely, they should. Because again, it's all about reps. See, AEW doesn't do house shows. They don't do live events. They only do TV tapings. That's it. They do TV tapings. They do pay-per-view. And so these youngins are not getting the proper reps like these veterans guys that got back when WWE was on the road for 300 plus days a year. So they're not getting the reps. They're not being able to go out there and figure out what works, what doesn't work, this, that, and the third. Speaking on Bryan Danielson, he actually said in an interview that he's ready to retire because his body's starting to give out. He's been doing this for 25 years. Yeah. And he made the promise to his oldest child, his daughter Birdie, that by her 7th birthday, he would stop wrestling full time because he wants to be a proper father. And that I can understand. When you're a wrestler, you're on the road so much that you don't get to see your kids grow up. You don't get to see first steps, hear first words, see all the first that you want to see, like their first day of school, their first actual day of school, all that stuff. You don't get to see that when you're a professional wrestler because you're out there on that grind. Right. So I feel like, and Sif said it on Facebook, that he's losing because, again, he's already committed to the fact that this is his last year of wrestling full time. And so if you're going to go out, you're going to go out in a blaze of glory in front of 40 to 50,000 in Wembley Stadium, fighting for the world championship against one of the most complete performers that you can find in a professional wrestling ring in Swerve Strickland, who WWE grossly misused when he got to the main roster. When he was on NXT, they used him so well with Hit Row. But when they brought him to the main roster, that was a wrap for him. And then luckily he came to AEW, reinvented himself. And now if he went back to WWE, he would absolutely be a star in WWE. But right now he's a star in AEW, and that's where he needs to be, as in AEW. Yeah.
There's some great matches coming up in All In. I'm looking forward to it. This is AEW does a great job with their pay-per-views. I have to say that. They have had some stout cards over these last couple of pay-per-views. They've really started to hit their stride here. And
my problem with AEW though is that when they run Sunday pay-per-views, they have 15 million matches, and it's like, dude, I have to work in the morning.
Exactly.
Be up till 1 o'clock in the morning covering your freaking pay-per-view. Like if you do this, if you have a 12-match pay-per-view card on a Saturday, I don't care.
Exactly, right.
Get up early the next morning, but on a Sunday, nah, fam, you gotta cut that crap down, man, because it's taxing to have a pay-per-view start at 8 p.m. and it's 13 matches on the main card, by the way. I'm not saying overall, I'm talking about the main card, and you're up until 1 o'clock in the morning, knowing you have to be up at 8 for work. It's like, no,
it's rough.
Don't do this to me, Tony. It's rough.
It's rough.
But thankfully, like Sif said on Facebook, All In starts at 1 p.m. this week, this time. So that's going to be great. It's going to be a midday to watch it and everything like that. I can just hang out, chill, and be able to still go to sleep at a reasonable hour.
And you guys are doing a reaction show, correct?
Absolutely.
I want to say, Jaden, you're new into this little realm here in the comments. I want to say thank you for tuning in, man. And yes, Triple H has been doing one heck of a job. It's beautiful to watch, and it just continues to blossom and grow, and people are really immersed in it. He's doing one heck of a job there. Champ, tell everybody where they can find you at, where they can tune in. And we've been trying to do our best here at the NotBland Show to share it on the NotBland Show page, and so that people can see. And at least if they can't listen to you guys live, they can go back and listen to it on Spotify and I believe it is Amazon as well.
Yes. So you can check us out. We stream our podcast recordings live on twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod. That's TRU No Spots Pod. You can also, again, listen to us on Spotify and on Amazon Music. Also on our Twitch channel, I do some gaming content on there as well. I will do a gaming stream sometime in the near future because now that I have Madden 25, I might do showcase some of my superstar mode on there. I'm about to start my 3rd year as the starting quarterback of the Raiders after winning the Super Bowl for the 2nd year in a row. And I also like to play college football 25 as well as PGA Tour golf and MLB The Show 24. So we do all that there. You can also check out some clips of our gaming content as well as musings and Q&A from Sith on our TikTok, which is tiktok.com/@TrueNoSpotsPod as well. You can also find us on Facebook.com/NoSpotsPod, where we also do our live reactions on both Twitch and on Facebook on pay-per-view days. So you can check all of that out. All of our socials are there. We are all over the internet. Someone's gonna figure us out, and then we're gonna be out here.
Man, keep rocking. Don't quit. Never give up. Keep rocking and keep pushing forward. You guys are doing an excellent job. Again, like I said, one of the best in the business, knows his stuff. They both know their stuff. It's a great show, and you guys should come along with us this weekend as they will be doing a live stream watch along, and we have a lot of fun over there. Talk a lot of trash. We say a lot of cool stuff, and it's not for kids. So come on over and support that stream. And I will be putting it out there as well on the NotBland Show page. Champ, thank you for taking the time. And then after All In, we will be doing a all wrestling show. And Sith, if you're out there, get ready. You're up.
Oh, shucks.
You and Sith.
Oh shit, me and Sith on the same show. Y'all better get ready. All the wrestling nerddom is going to come out.
You got that right, and we're gonna relish in it. Champ, thank you so much for taking the time. I'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Take care. And by the way, congratulations to Zack Sabre Jr. He brought it home, the G1 Climax tournament winner, and he will challenge for the world title at King of Pro Wrestling in October instead of at Wrestle Kingdom in January. I'm going to be talking about that with Sage this Thursday on the G1 Climax Recall.
That'll work. Y'all make sure y'all get there. Later, buddy.
Peace out.
That's Champ. And great talk about wrestling. God knows his stuff, man. I mean, he is very polished. Let's just say that. And I really enjoy listening to him talk pro wrestling. And now we're going to get into our talk about the NHRA. And before we get into that, we're going to have a word from our sponsor.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you are over there. You see the code for our league at the bottom of the ticker. Like I said, you don't need to know anything about drag racing. Just need to know how to pick. That's it. And knowing less about drag racing probably works in your favor because a lot of us who do know about drag racing, we're completely overthinking the whole thing. So, and it's obvious, especially as it gets tight. We're getting down here into the countdown, and man, the pressure's on. The pressure's on. And we've had one heck of a Brainerd. The race itself was just wacky. The things that you think would not happen did happen. And I was very excited about every class that was there. We only had, if you're not following this or you don't know, you only had Pro Stock, Top Fuel, and Funny Car. Your winners were Justin Ashley, who really has been struggling to get to that winner circle. They've had some semifinal, second round woes. Blake Alexander, a card that was a win waiting to happen. It's not by surprise, okay? And it definitely wasn't luck. This card's been running good all season long, and they were just able to put it together to get to that final round and get a win for his team and Jim Head. It's just it's really cool to watch. And Dallas Glenn, it's been a while for him, buddy. He's been chomping at the bit to get a dub, and he finally did that. Top alcohol dragster, Hunter Green. How about that? Pretty cool stuff. And Bob McCosh Jr., that was a good one. Didn't see that coming. They worked hard all weekend long, got it done. And I'm going to put it out there in Competition Eliminator. We usually don't talk about that, but Bruno Massel got the win. I watched that one. I actually did not turn it off. I actually watched the rest of the race on NHRA TV, and that was cool. And his emotion at the end was, it was something. It was something to see, and very cool to see. You can tell he's passionate about it. He does win a lot, but that was huge. That was huge for him. I will start off first, though.
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
So, Ida Zetterstrom makes her debut this weekend. And I'm talking to you because I have a problem. I know she raced bikes with no wheelie bar. It takes one hell of a person to do that. But let's not diminish the fact that, yes, she did debut in Top Fuel Dragster in the NHRA at Brainerd in the NHRA. But let's not disrespect this woman by not mentioning the fact that she has driven Top Fuel in Europe. And she is the reigning FIA world champion. Let's not diminish that. Let's not gloss over that. She's a champion. Sure, not in the NHRA, but she's a champion. And look, it's kind of like NBA, right? We sit around and we used to talk about how great the American game was in the NBA, and there's no other game better. Well, that's if you don't watch anything other than the NBA. But the European game was gaining on us, and it showed in the Olympics. We saw it. And now they're on par. So, no, not everybody is looking to go to the NBA. And that's not the god of basketball. Because European basketball is great. My cousin played years in Germany in the league and didn't want to go to the NBA. So, yes, the NHRA is king here. And people do want to come over here and race in the NHRA. But she has a resume. She has receipts. She's shown she's very capable. It's not the first time she's been in a Top Fuel Dragster. Now, of course, over there, they don't have the luxury of having the parts and pieces that we have here. And it's for various reasons. Mainly, track couldn't hold what we put here. They're not as good as our tracks here. But don't disrespect the woman by not mentioning the fact that she is the FIA Top Fuel World Champion. Okay? That's my problem. I understand it. I get it. But to not mention it is really a disrespect to her. And they put on a show this weekend. Showed that they were prepared. She had been talking about this and been on several shows. If you look at week 36 of the NotBland show, she was on that show and talked about the preparation that they had, the team's preparation. And guys like Lonnie and others, Drag Race Mayhem, I would even say Ford, who watches this show as well, really had questions because the team is kind of multiplied out of Tony Schumacher's team, right? So he hasn't been that consistent and has struggled at times. So it really was a question of how this team was going to come out and respond, how they were going to come out and race, and were they going to be able to put consistent laps together to get her rounds. And they came out, and I believe they showed out. You do what you have to do And again, they didn't try to do too much. They didn't try to come in and try to throw down big numbers. It was A to B. Let's get this car down the racetrack. If we understand that some of these guys and gals may be able to run 70s if the weather is good enough. They were able to do some things, but we're not going to overdo it. We're not going to overstep what we're doing here. We're just going to keep improving round by round and give ourselves an opportunity to win. And they did an excellent job of that. And if it wasn't for a brain fart, I think she's in the final. Do I think she wins? I don't know. We'll never know. But I do believe that car's in the final. They gave her an excellent race car. And I have to give the team a lot of credit for what they put together out there on race day. J.R. Todd, and I want to give the Fox broadcast some huge credit. If you watch the Fox broadcast, you see this if you're a football watcher, whether it's college or NFL, whether it's injuries or there's something behind the scenes that's going on, injuries that are questionable that we know nothing about. Why is this player hasn't come back yet? You have sideline reporters to get you that information in real time, right? They got us the information in real time, and they were staying with the story along with the racing on the racetrack, showing you the incrementals of the work that was being done, how many teams that were over there, the work that was being done by Ron Capps' team to get that body to be able to fit on J.R. Todd's chassis. We saw in real time, J.R. was like, I don't know what we're going to do. We don't have any more bodies. I can't come up here and race semifinal. We went rounds, but we didn't. I can't. I have nothing. And shout out to Ron Capps Motorsports for stepping up. They really could have just said, hey, man, I don't know. They just blowed up 2 bodies. I don't want them blowing mine up. And they came out, and it was no questions asked. Guys jumped in. Other teams jumped in that aren't even a part of Coletta Motorsports, helping that team to get that car to be able to show up to the starting line and for it to be able to, through all that chaos, to be able to fire and to have gone down the racetrack. I believe they shut it off. May have not been comfortable with what was going on, and they obviously had some type of issue with the race car, and it probably felt something the same way and just weren't able to complete the run. But got to give them a whole lot of credit for what they put together out there. It was very, very awesome to see. Look at Tony Stewart and what he put together this weekend. They gave him a great race car. If they can get a little bit more translating on the racetrack and be able to get out of these second round woes, it would be good. They weren't able to put it together. Car smoked the tires, and they've had that issue. What we talked about, the phantom tire smoke that we used for AJ, that has been an issue for them as well. But Justin Ashley was on it. A 76 in E2 was something stout, and I'm not sure if Tony would have been able to put that together. They had a 72 though in round 2. Conditions were obviously a little bit different, and they missed. So it happens. It's drag racing. It's what it is. Let me see. Comments were going on here, and I want to get to those before we start to get down to the wire here. Drag Race Mayhem says, I need to go save Penn State in college football 25, so this way we can win something, or our head coach should have been fired years ago. That's a tough one. And it can go both ways, right? I think they'll have a little bit better of a shot now that the playoffs have been expanded a little bit. There's a lot of talented teams in this thing, and I it's hard, man. It's hard. It really is. Especially when you pretty much have had the 4 horsemen, at least 3 with Georgia and Alabama, and I'm leaving out one because I'm brain farting right now. But just with those 2, it's tough. And I don't like to use it's the SEC bull crap because I think there's a lot of good teams in both of them. ACC, the Big Ten. There's a lot of good teams. You look at the Ohio States of the world as well. That would probably be your fourth. Sometimes you're like a Michigan, right? They've been smelling around that, right? But they just hadn't been able to get over the hump. And they finally have done that. And Lonnie says, my first round drag race bracket bonanza was great. After that, well, my first round was great. Yeah, I can say that. Funny Car was like that for me a little bit. Pro Stock was like that after Greg went out. Yeah, it was not good. Not good. Drag Race Man says Justin Ashley has been struggling. Mike Green has. Yes, I agree. They haven't been themselves. But you know what, though? When we've had them on the show, and I'm sure you remember, you know the stats for them. They've been hot in regular season, and they come into the countdown stinking it up. So maybe this is a reversal, right? Maybe they get hot at the right time. Maybe they turn this thing around, and maybe they can not go out first round in 2 consecutive races to not give themselves a shot to win the championship. Maybe. Just maybe. And Memphis Lonnie agrees. Memphis Lonnie says they take the FIA league like they did the IHRA. Yeah, and I'm sorry. I'm not going for that at all because, you know, I'm not going for that. I know people, you know, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that before I go off. Drag Race Man says, I mean, to be fair, comparing European Top Fuel to NHRA Top Fuel is like college to NFL. It's not that easy, just not as much competition. It hasn't hit a level like basketball and international yet. Yes and no. I mean, you have to also take in consideration the money that's being poured into it. They don't have the same level of sponsorships that we do. There's also not a lot of cars. But at the end of the day, I can't knock a driver because there's only 2 or 3 car field. You got to run what you're going to run. And they don't have any time to make up points in their points race. She talked about that on week 36 of her show. They don't have the time to make up points. So there can't be any mistakes. There's not, we didn't get out of first round type stuff. If you miss, you likely lose the championship. It's that simple. And you can't judge for what they don't have. They're working with what they got. And sure, there's a lot of things that probably need to come up on par, but it's also about money. So they run the budgets that are going to fit for the track conditions that they're going to be facing. So I can't knock that at all. And I don't think there's a comparison. At the end of the day, it's still a 320 mile an hour fuel car that you have to handle. And that doesn't matter whether you're in the NHRA, the IHRA, you're match racing. It doesn't matter. That's still a top fuel dragster that you have to wield. And that stands for something. Yeah. I mean, good points. I just choose to disagree. Yeah. I get the devil's advocate thing, and that's good. I like it. I like it. I don't want people to agree with me. I'm not a guy that wants to yes people. So I do agree with you there. But yeah, I just, not me. I understand the ETs, and he says everyone knew Ada could drive, and she showed that. Let's just see if this team can throw down to be competitive in the NHRA Top Fuel in 2024. You have to be able to run mid-6s. You're 100% right. That's the key. They had, again, they just showed up this past week, so they didn't really have that many laps on the car. There wasn't a whole lot of testing, and she did not make that many full pulls. I think it was like 2 or 3, and this weekend is when she really started making laps. So if they can just continue on the upward trend, I think we're going to see something here. Memphis Lion says that's why JR stepped off of the throttle so as not to. Yes, agreed. It's Ray Jeezy. What's up, man? What's up? We're going to talk some football here soon, bro. I'm going to need you for that NFC South talk that we're going to be doing here real soon. Talk Falcons, talk the NFC South, see how you feel things are going to pan out. He says PSU is definitely going to benefit from yes, I agree. I think a lot of teams are going to benefit from this. And you know what? College football becomes that sport of getting hot at the right time type of stuff. You might see, and I know people think that, okay, you got 12 teams. Well, likely, let's say 6 through 12 are always going to be what they're going to be. They're never going to be able to, because they don't belong, possibly. And I think we've seen it here just in recent with this 14 playoff deal. 5, 6, and 7 were hot. And if they could have been in some type of playoff run, who's to say that they don't get hot and pluck off a top seed? I'm very interested to see how this plays out and who gets hot at the right time. And do we have this Cinderella team, this story that comes from the deep, dark depths of the grave of the 6 through 12, the 8 through 12, the 9 through 12, and get to the big dance or get to the playoff before the big dance? You know what I mean? It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Drag Race Mayhem says this is true. FIA at least doesn't have a fraudulent points format. Yes. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you can talk about all the extras and what they don't have, but at the end of the day, they run what they have to run, and they run who they have to run, whether it's 16, 10, 3. It is what it is. And you've got to go out there and produce every week because there's no makeup time. None. NHRA, you got makeup time. Yep, exactly. Ray Jeezy says, appreciate you, DJ. Tune in. Yeah, oh, you know it. I'll be right there. Commenting. And hopefully we have a show like we had last week. That was fun. We were all cutting up in there. I love it. Y'all got to check out my guys at the Urban Sports Scene. I posted up on the NotBland show page as well when they're live, also on my Twitter. So check them out, man. They are absolutely two of the best that have some great guests, and there's great people in the chat that know their stuff when it comes down to NFL football and college prospects coming out. They're very well versed in what's going on, and they deserve your attention very much so. To close this thing, man, I'm going to go with this here. We've got some teams here that are starting to look on the up and up. Josh Hart, do we want to say that he's turned the corner yet, or do you need to see more? I'm asking the chat while we're still on it here. Do you need to see more? I'm going to say that there is a good possibility they're turning the corner, but I do need to see more. It looks like Ron Douglas has got himself together. He seemed to be very calm, cool, and collected. They seem to have this car going in the right direction. Sean Langdon, how about it? Again, continues to push forward. They are, like he talked about when he was on the show, it's about ascending and getting hot at the right time, coming into the countdown ready and prepared. And they look prepared coming into the U.S. Nationals, which we'll be having here, I believe, and it is in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Funny car. Look, we've seen a lot. Okay. Uncharacteristic late light for Austin Prock. Did not see that coming. I think that you have to give J.R. Todd a little bit of credit there. There's some gamesmanship there on the starting line. There is no rivalry. I don't like that. They had a disagreement about whether J.R. Todd felt that Austin was a little slow in his starting line procedure. That's fine. We hear about it all the time. There may be a little bit of words back and forth, and that might create a little bit of a rivalry. We can't call that a rivalry yet. Okay. It's too early to be doing that. There was a disagreement, and that disagreement may stay with them the rest of the season. And each time they meet each other, it's going to come up and be a motivation to kick the other ones behind. So you won't see Austin that late again, ever. He was quite upset, and I love it. I want to talk about Alexa DeJoria. Man, if we can get her to just be consistent in her lights. And this past weekend, if you were 80 and above, might as well go ahead and get ready to pack up the awnings and put your tools back and get ready to go home, because you're going home. And so many people were just flat out beat. Had a good car. Jack Beckman, earlier in round 2, he was saved by the tune-up. Oh, in round 1, he was saved by the tune-up. Sorry. And then round 2, I understand. He rusty. But you can't have no 96 lights out here. And Blake Alexander said, if you want to be late, I'll take it. And he did. And went all the way. I still think that car is going to be right there in the hunt. Jack's just getting back, trying to get his feet under him. And I think he's going to be fine. Memphis Lonnie says Josh looked good last week. And he did. They are starting to get some consistency with that race car. Drag Race Mayhem says need to see more this weekend. Was very crazy, hard to judge, just needs to do that 6 times in the last 6 races. Agreed. I like that take, and I'm with you on that. Need to see more. It was a crazy weekend, wasn't it? I mean, just absolutely crazy. Yeah, Doug's another one. I was, you couldn't be late. Brittany, another one. And I'm going to say this. I love Brittany, but Brittany should have put the onus on herself on that one. That wasn't a team not being prepared. You were late. And that you just got to call it how you see it. And that's just the fact of the matter. Had a good car. If you were a little bit earlier, you'd have had a shot. And you couldn't be that late on this weekend. You just couldn't. And everyone who was late got beat eventually, because like I said, Jack Beckman got saved by the car in first round, had a great tune-up, and that saved him. But couldn't save him in the second round, not when you got a 067 and you're 096. That don't work. That's a loss every time, unless you got a weak car over there in the other lane. I'm going to say I was very excited about Cruz as well. Don't know what happened there. He crossed the center line in the first round. And that, to me, from what I can see from the angle, that cylinder did not drop until he got out of the groove. And it looked like the car was pointed to the center line. So I don't know. And I know there's a strategy to things. You see it sometimes. I know if you guys look, you see the aerials that they give us sometimes. And sometimes it looks like those cars are towed in a little bit. And then when they take off, they kind of slide and straighten right on out, right? Blake Alexander is doing what Paul Lee needs to do. Exactly. And this was not the weekend. At least they were able to get qualified and get in the show. But this ain't the weekend to lose the first round. Not with that points race being so tight and the fact that they did not make all the races. So therefore, you have to qualify in the top 10, same as Brittany Force. Drag Race Mayhem says the fact Austin gets upset over a reaction time that some other drivers average worse than shows his true he's a true race car driver. Agreed. Memphis Lion says not defending Brittany, but she was using the we win as a team, we lose as a team concept. Get it? But when your team gives you a race car and you come up short, you just need to say, I pooped my pants. No excuses. Quarterback and kickers don't get a chance to blame teams. That's you. And as a driver, you're a quarterback and a kicker. It's on you after they give you what you need to get done. Now it's on you to make sure it happens. And she didn't, like several other drivers this weekend who were late. Drag Race Bayam says, to compare to my last point, Dave Richards. Exactly. And that's an average, people. Average. You can't win races like that. You can't win races like that. It's not possible. Not possible at all. I appreciate you guys hanging on. We've gone a little long today. I wanted to get some of those things out of here with this past weekend. And it's been excellent. It's been excellent. And I appreciate you guys for sticking with us. So many people supporting this show, Ford supporting this show, and so many others. I really, really appreciate you guys for the work and for being here, hanging in here with me, the sharing, the commenting. It's incredible. It's incredible. And I could not thank you guys enough. We got 2 weeks, man. It's the big go. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. We're going to try to get some real cool people on here right before that race. I've got some ideas. NFL's coming up, man, and I'm looking forward to it. We're getting real close to the regular season, guys. We're getting close to football season for college. I believe that begins this weekend with FSU. It's going to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be talking a lot of football here in the next couple of weeks. We'll have some extra shows other than Tuesday. We're going to try to have some Monday shows as well. Got a lot of work going ahead of me, man. If you guys know me well, I cover the NFL and the NHRA, and both seasons, one's beginning and one's getting hot and heavy here as we start to run right into the countdown. Again, thank you so much for supporting Sports Journey. Again, you can see my written work over at sportsjourney.com. All NFL. I will talk about it more when I can. But we are transitioning, and you'll see all the NHRA you want right here. Just no written work. But like I said, we'll talk about it here soon. Again, I want to thank Sports Journey for the opportunity and be able to represent them. Thank you, Everything Nitro, for allowing me to represent you as well. And Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, thank you for sponsoring this show. And thank you for believing in me and allowing me to represent your brand as well. Again, thank you so much for watching this show. And good night, everybody. Come over and check me out over at the Competition Plus Power Hour at 9 o'clock. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be talking to Ida Zetterstrom. Good night, everybody.